Hello, buddy. Welcome back to Tin Man's Core Channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor, and today I'm reacting to my third and final Spooky Vibes video for you guys, and this was titled 3 True Walmart Horror Stories. So without further ado, I'm going to turn these lights off, move the camera up here for you guys, and let's get this reaction on the road and in the bag, shall we? Okay, here we go.
Okay, so this story still baffles me to this day. I work at Walmart as AP, and if you don't know what AP is, it's asset protection. Pretty much my job is to catch people trying to steal from Walmart.
Right.
If you go to any Walmart, we're usually all around you, but we're dressed in normal clothing so that we blend in. I'm not sure if I was supposed to tell you that, but whatever. Anyway, it was a Friday, and I had noticed this one guy walking around the store looking very suspicious. And what I mean by that is, when he first walked into Walmart, he had his hands buried deep in his sweatshirt. He had this look on his face that he was up to something. He also had holes all in his sweater. His jeans were super dirty, and they were hanging past his ass crack. So I began to tail him throughout the store. After he made a few laps around the electronics department, I saw him make a beeline for the restrooms nearby. Now, I didn't go in when he did, because I didn't want him to know that I was onto him, so I just waited directly outside the bathrooms instead. Within seconds, I could hear this guy making weird noises, like angry growling noises. Then I could hear him flushing the toilet like 20 times.
Okay, yeah, I will say that's a little weird as well. Maybe this guy was high on some sort of drugs and he might be homeless, hence why he said the clothes on him was kind of raggedy. I was thinking that he probably grabbed something out of the electronics. Why would he go in the bathroom and act like he's flushing the toilet? Unless he was flushing something small down there. I don't know. But let's just see what this guy found out about the mysterious man that came in, shall we?
And at this point I said fuck it, and was going to go in and see what the hell he was doing. Just as I took a step forward, the man then sprinted out of the bathroom, looking horrified and distressed. He pushed past me and headed to the front. I radioed for management to be on the lookout for this guy heading their way and entered the bathroom to see what he was doing. When I walked in, there was running water everywhere. It seemed to be coming from the end stall. I pushed it open and saw water was gushing from the toilet. It was gushing because something large was sticking out of it, like the dude was trying to flush whatever it was down the toilet. I got closer and realized that what the man was trying to flush down was a fucking severed human hand.
Holy Jolito. Okay, he wasn't there to steal nothing. He was literally there to try to hide evidence or dispose of evidence. And he was trying to make sure nobody will looking at him just so he can get out of there quick. Well, since he radioed to management, I know they're going to grab him and hold him for the cops since he found a severed human hand. At that point, I'd be locking down the bathroom and calling security to detain that dude.
Like I'm talking veins and bones and everything was sticking out. It took everything in me not to puke all over the floor. Thankfully, when I radioed for management to be on the lookout for this dude, a cop was patrolling nearby and was able to detain him. Because, unfortunately, in Walmart, we're not allowed to touch customers, even when they try to discard human body parts. A full investigation was launched, and we even had to shut the Walmart down for like 2 days. But we did end up getting some answers. The dude who tried to flush the hand down the toilet was someone living on the streets. A group of men, that he claims he doesn't know their names, offered him $5,000 to get rid of this severed hand. So he thought the best way to go about it was to go into a Walmart and flush it down a toilet. I believe the police are still trying to trace the bills that they used to pay the man, but as I'm writing this, those groups of men have not been caught yet. And I'm assuming they're drug or gang related. I still work there as AP, and nothing comes close to how crazy that day was.
Yeah, I believe you. You just be glad that you don't run into no other crazy person that might do something like this in the future. Yeah, if he was homeless and somebody gave him a lot of money just to dispose of body parts, he'll be desperate to take that money. But I cannot believe that The police have not yet found them, guys. If the homeless guy gave them a good description, they should be able to put an AB alert out on them, and hopefully they'll get caught. But yeah, that would be disturbing for sure. I would probably have to take at least a half of a week just to comprehend what I just experienced and then come back to work. Thankfully, nothing didn't get violent, so let's get to story number 2.
This world is truly an unsafe place. A while back, when my youngest son was 6 years old, we were both out shopping at Walmart. It was his birthday coming up, and I told him that he could pick out a toy in the toy aisle that was under $30. We were browsing the aisles carefully. My son wanted to see every single toy to make sure he got the best and exact one that he wanted.
Oh, believe me, I did the same thing back when I was a young kid, going to Walmart, Target, or Toys R Us, trying to find a cool toy that was in a certain toy line that I liked, under a certain price range. Was a nightmare. I don't shop for toys no more, but I definitely do miss them days. But anyway, let's continue with this guy's story and see what happens next.
He ended up finding some big Lego Batman set and started begging if this was the one that he could have. I asked him what the price was on it. He looked on the shelf and on the box, but he said it didn't have a price. Just at that moment, there was a Walmart associate standing pretty close to where we were. I saw that his name tag read Greg. Greg heard our price conversation and offered to check it for us on his device. I told my son go ahead and have the man scan it. My son walked the 5 feet it took to give it to Greg and handed the Lego box to him. Also at that moment, I was getting a phone call. I reached into my purse and saw that it was my husband calling. I turned my head briefly from my son and Greg to answer the phone. I now realize this is where I really messed up.
Oh, don't tell me that person is literally a kidnapper. And when you answer the phone, they're gone. That person was able to walk into Walmart, steal somebody's vest and name tag, and act like an employee. I mean, that's what I'm guessing at this point.
After my brief phone call ended about my husband needing extra socks, I turned back around, only to see that my son and Greg were no longer in the toy aisle with me. I mean, like at all. The only thing I saw was the Batman Lego set on the ground that my son wanted to get. This immediately raised red flags in my heart. And I started sprinting up and down the aisles, calling my son's name out. I know I look like a crazy woman, but when your child is missing, none of that matters. Minutes passed, and I could not find my son or that Greg guy anywhere. And when it comes to a missing child, every second counts. I ran up to the front and started telling the Walmart associates to lock down the exits because I couldn't find my son. They asked where I saw him last, and I told them the toy aisle with the associate Greg. They gave me a puzzled look and said that there is no associate by the name of Greg who works here.
I knew it. It was a random dude that just walked in using that as a disguise just so they can grab kids quickly. But I'll be telling them, look at the security cameras in that area, and you'll see what I'm talking about. The guy was literally wearing a Walmart vest and a name tag.
That was literally horror to my ears. In my haste, a man had come up to me, saw how distraught I was, and asked if he could help in any way. I don't know what it was. I truly believe it was mother's intuition, but I just knew right then and there that I needed to go outside and check the parking lot. Me, a couple of Walmart associates, and the man who offered to help all ran out into the parking lot. To my absolute horror, at the very back end of the parking lot, I saw my son being put into a car, flailing his arms around and screaming for help. The man who was standing next to me didn't even hesitate. He full-on sprinted over to my son. I was following close behind. Greg had just shut the back car door and was trying to get into the front and start the car when the man that I was with body slammed the shit out of him.
There you go. I am so happy that a man asked if he could help, because I figured that there was going to be some fighting involved to get her son back. But he proved himself as a strong, good man because he was able to knock that guy down to the ground and beat the ever-living crap out of him for taking him. I hope he holds him down and make sure you don't leave.
He literally grabbed him by the throat and then used his other free hand to start smashing his face in. I grabbed my son out of the back seat while this guy beat the ever-living shit out of Greg. Thankfully, police were very close by and they were on the scene within minutes. It turns out, this guy Greg didn't work for Walmart. He bought a fake vest on Amazon and was wearing it to pretend to blend in like an associate. The man who helped stop the abduction, his name was Richard. He was literally my hero that day. And since then, my husband and I have become good friends with Richard because of how greatly he helped us. But guys, there are people out there who do this shit more than you think. And I do fault myself for not watching my kid like a hawk. You need to be on alert at all times, especially if you have young children. I cannot even imagine where or what condition my son would be in if we didn't stop Greg that day. And that wasn't even his real name. He's a total waste of human space and is now rotting in jail for the next 30 years. Please, be alert and be safe, everyone.
Thank you, Richard. I applaud you. If he did not spring into action and beat the ever-living crap out of that dude for taking her son, that guy would have been in the car, kidnapping him, and never been seen again. Whew. But I cannot believe that you could buy a Walmart vest off of Amazon. That needs to stop. Because I think I've seen a lot of people wanting to dress up as like Walmart employees or Target or some other franchise stores employees on Halloween for a costume. I'm sorry, but if people keep buying stuff like that to walk into establishments like this just to blend in and then kidnap somebody, they need to stop making them for the public to grab. They should only be available when you start working at Walmart, Target, or Lowe's, Home Depot, etc., you know. And that's good to hear that they're friends with this Richard fellow. I'll be like buying him a drink or dinner for saving a kid. But thankfully, that guy, Greg, is in jail. And I agree with this woman telling the story. He is truly a waste of space. Nothing but garbage to humanity for what he's done.
This is one of the craziest things that's ever happened to me. And, of course, it happened at a Walmart. And I was shopping there last year around mid-June. I was single at the time and just getting basic things for my apartment like paper towels, soap, and water. I was in the self-checkout lane, scanning my items. I was at the part where it asked for your credit card. I was literally about to put it in and pay when, out of nowhere, this guy comes up to me. He starts insisting that he pay for my order. I told him thank you, but that's fine, I can do it myself. But he was very persistent. I mean, like he literally knocked my hand away from the card reader and put his in it. Honestly, I was like, whatever. If you really wanted to pay for my order that badly, then have at it.
You want to pay for the order? Go right ahead. Save me some money. But I got a bad feeling that there's a catch to it. Probably thinks you're beautiful and he just wanted to pay for your order at checkout and then try to do all the whole harassment tactics, try to get your number or where you live and how you're going to pay him back type of stuff. But I would be mad if he knocked my card. If someone knocked my card out of the machine like that. I'd be like, Buster, back off. I got it. Okay? There's people in this world that would actually do that.
But it doesn't end there. After my order was paid, he starts following me to my car, insisting that he could help me load my car up. Now I was getting really weirded out by this guy, because he didn't take no for an answer. But me being a pushover and just horrible at standing up for myself, I allowed him to follow me to my car and help me load it up. When the last bag was in my car, I thanked the man and told him to have a great day. He put his hand on my door, preventing me from opening it up, and said, "Can I get your number?" When he said this, I knew there was an ulterior motive to this guy, and it pissed me the hell off. But I politely said no and tried to open my door. He pressed down even harder, and his face completely changed. He went from friendly to absolute rage. He looked at me and said, "Oh, You'll take my money, but I can't have your number. And I was now starting to get really uncomfortable. This guy was pretty strong, and if it came down to violence, he would quite literally be able to kill me. He started waving his hands around, saying people like me are the worst, and that women like me don't deserve a man like him. But as he was waving his arms around, his shirt lifted up, and I could see a gun tucked into his pants. This wasn't by accident either. I knew that he wanted me to see it. By the grace of God, I saw 2 cops standing by the front Walmart entrance, watching me and this guy. Even from the distance, I knew they could sense my distress. They walked over to us, which frightened the dude. The cops asked if everything was okay, and I said no. This man's harassing me and won't leave me alone. I literally thought at that moment he was going to pull his gun out and kill me. But before any of that could happen, the one officer grabbed him by the hand and said to follow him over here. The guy was cursing up a storm, and they ended up restraining him. And get this, it turns out this guy had warrants out for his arrest, specifically for Grand Theft Auto. He was thrown into the back of a cop car in handcuffs. That dude was honestly a loose cannon. The fact that he wouldn't take no for an answer and progressively got more violent with me. I'm glad someone like him is now off the streets. But yeah, that was the craziest thing that's ever happened to me at a Walmart.
Wanted for Grand Theft Auto, huh? Well, that tells you from the start that he's not only unstable, but really a bad SOB. Seemed like this guy wanted to act like a gangster, thinking that he can overpower her just by saying he can pay for her stuff and try to help her load up her vehicle, but she didn't want it because you're freaking her out. Thank God there were some cops there by the exit of the Walmart, because if they weren't there, she probably wouldn't have been dead. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications for more spooky vibes content like this. This has been another successful installment of the Tin Man Square channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor, and that's a wrap, and have a nice day, y'all.